Hi everyone, and welcome to Hosting with Susanna, where I help you create beautiful parties and fun gatherings to bring people together. In today's video, we're going to be making my totally licorice twist cocktail. This is a perfect cocktail if you're doing my Totally Buggin' party, which is a clueless fan-inspired parody party. So, this cocktail in particular was inspired by when Cher and Dion are walking to gym class and Cher is saying that she feels like such a heifer, which is obviously hilarious. And she starts listing off everything that she was eating. She starts saying how she had all this special K, a couple bowls of that, some turkey bacon, some popcorn, some peanut butter M&Ms, and some licorice. So you're actually going to find all of those elements, everything that she listed off there, all throughout the menu in the food and right here in one of our cocktails. I just think it was such a fun way to really have that clueless Cher aesthetic, because right there she's just talking about how she eats, and so I just felt like that was something that I really needed to touch on and put throughout the menu. So this cocktail in particular was inspired by her talking about how she eats licorice. And so what better way to bring licorice into our menu than by making a licorice cocktail? I think this is going to be so tasty. I know that licorice isn't for everyone. A lot of people don't like the taste of licorice. I always have liked licorice, so I love this cocktail. But for other people, don't worry. I have another cocktail on the menu and I have a mocktail on the menu. So if you're not a fan of licorice, or you have some friends coming to your party who you also know aren't fans of licorice, we've got more cocktails for you. So there's more options coming. But the thing is, with this, we have to make the licorice infused vodka 3 days in advance before we can even start on making the cocktail as a whole. So if you're planning your party, make sure to cut out enough time to make your infused licorice vodka in advance. So what you're going to need is vodka. We're going to use 1.5 cups of that, plus a little bit of extra for tasting, because on day 2 you're going to taste it, see if you like where it's at with the taste profile. If it's good, then we're gonna go ahead and strain the licorice out, which I'll show you later in the video. But if it's not quite there yet, then we're gonna give it that extra day. So just account for that when making this cocktail. Then we're gonna need 4 pieces of black licorice twist candy, and then you're going to need an airtight glass jar. I'm using a mason jar because for this recipe we're only going to be using 1.5 cups, plus that little bit of extra to taste it, so I'm just gonna take a spoonful at that point, so we don't really need to go much above that 1.5 mark. So I find this perfect because it even has your measuring on it if you're using a mason jar. And then on top of that, you don't even need a measuring cup because your jar is your measuring cup. And then we're gonna need a knife cutting board just to chop up our licorice. So to get started, we're gonna take our black licorice and we're gonna cut it into tinier pieces. So once we have our black licorice candy all chopped up into tinier pieces, we're going to take our glass jar and we're going to fill it with 1.5 cups of vodka, plus that little bit of extra for tasting. So just kind of think of it as when you're making a sauce or a soup and you just do that 1 spoon of tasting. So just enough extra to taste a spoonful or so. Now that we have our vodka in our glass jar, we're going to go ahead and add in all of our tiny cut up pieces of licorice. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and seal that up really nice and tight. Now we're going to give it a nice, good hard shake. Okay, so now that our licorice infused vodka is in the process, of infusing, we're gonna put it in a nice, cool, dry, dark place. And from time to time for those 2 to 3 days, when you think of it, just go ahead and pick it up and give it a nice little hard shake. This is just gonna help with that dissolving process of the licorice candy. And also, I wanna note, so on day 2, go ahead and take a little spoon, dip it in, try it, put a little bit in a shot glass, however you wanna try it. Just give it a little taste test, see if it's at the flavor profile that you want. If so, we'll continue on to the straining process, which I will show you. If it's not where you want it at yet, then go ahead and wait that 3rd day. So, all right, I am gonna go ahead and let this sit and infuse, and I will see you back here for the straining process. Okay, so it's been 3 days and our licorice infused vodka tastes amazing. We're ready to strain it and use it. So what you're gonna wanna do is we're gonna go ahead and strain this directly into our blender. And you're going to need a funnel with either a very finite mesh strainer like this one, or you're gonna need a coffee filter to catch all of those bits of licorice candy. There we go. It smells so good. You can smell the licorice. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our defrosted raspberries to this mixture. You're going to need 1 pound or 16 ounces of frozen raspberries that have been defrosted. And then we're also going to add 2 cups of our hibiscus tea. In total, we're gonna need 18 cups of hibiscus tea. So we're gonna add 16 cups of hibiscus tea later, but for now we're just adding 2 to the raspberry puree. And what I did was I just bought a bunch of hibiscus tea bags. I brewed all of that in advance, and then just had it ready to go. So that's what I would suggest. So now we have our 1.5 cups of licorice infused vodka in here, our 1 pound of defrosted frozen raspberries, and 2 cups of hibiscus tea. So now we're gonna make sure that our lid's on all nice and tight, and we're gonna go ahead and puree this until all of our raspberries are just nice and well blended. Okay, that looks perfect. Now we're ready to use our raspberry puree mixture. Okay, so I like to use a nice big drink dispenser for this cocktail. You could also use a couple of pitchers, whatever works best for you and your party. And then we're gonna get a little mesh strainer, a sieve, and we're gonna put this on top. We wanna strain out all of those seeds from our raspberry puree. And then during this process, you can also use your spoon to just kind of get it going through the sieve, because it might get a little chunky and have a little hard time straining. So we can just use a spoon to just kind of, the back of a spoon to just kind of push the liquids through and get that process going with the straining. Okay, now that we have all of our seeds strained out of our puree mixture, we're ready to add the remaining 16 cups of hibiscus tea. And the hibiscus tea is also an inspiration from the movie as well, because when Cher is taking photos of all of her friends and she pulls Ty aside to get photos of just her, she picks a hibiscus flower off of the bush and has her holding it for the photos that she's taking of her. So the hibiscus tea is also a nod to the inspiration from Clueless. Okay, let's add this to our mixture. And I'm just going to continue adding the hibiscus tea to our mixture. Now that we have the remaining hibiscus tea added, we're going to go ahead and just give it a nice stir, get everything all well mixed in together. there we have it, our like totally licorice twist cocktail. It's sure to be a crowd pleaser with all of your friends. So let's go ahead and give it a little try. And then a cute little thing you can do is garnish it with a stirring stick that's filled with little pieces of cut up licorice. It just adds a nice, beautiful little touch. That is really good. It's got the sweetness from the hibiscus tea, the tartness of the raspberries, and then this little undertone of licorice. It's really delicious. I hope you and your friends enjoy it, and see you next time. Cheers!